Welcome to the You Seem Great podcast. I'm Becca, a former therapist and matchmaker turned date coach.
And I'm Talia, a professional matchmaker and founder of a leading matchmaking company. Together, we have helped hundreds of singles find love. We're here to share our expert tips and tricks to help you find and keep love too. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to You Seem Great podcast. Today, we're talking about matchmaking and date coaching 101.
Yeah.
We're going to give you the scoop on what they are and what to ask if you're researching companies out there.
We're going to the basics. We're going to give you an inside scoop on what our professions actually are and what actually happens. I actually had a realization recently about what it is about matchmaking and date coaching that I love so much. And what I realized is it kind of gives me like a percentage of the feeling of what it's like to date through my clients, because I like when I connect people, I'm like excited about the date and I want to know how the feedback is. I feel like I'm like invested, but from a distance that feels safe and like not like I'm fully in it.
That's so interesting.
And so I get to ride the waves, like, but from, you know, like an exciting point and not a nervousness.
I never thought about it in that way, but you're spot on.
Yeah.
Like I always tell people, friends and clients, now I'm fully invested in this.
Yes.
So you need to keep me posted. Like, do not leave me hanging. I need to know what happened on the second date and the third date and the fourth date.
Yeah. Even like the text.
To get that dopamine rush.
Totally. Yeah. Even the text messages, like, we're going on our first trip together. I'm like, where are we going? What are we wearing?
Yes,
Who asked who? Like, it's like you are in it, but on the sidelines.
It's like I sometimes feel like I'm a little too creepy in how much I care.
Yeah.
Like, but
you are.
I'm a little It's pretty
I'm totally kidding.
No, I am.
It's charming.
I'm like, tell me every detail.
Yeah.
And then I get so excited for every milestone.
Yeah. You know what your go-to when like I tell you about like good client news or, oh, amazing. Okay, see if we can use the photo.
I know, my poor team. Every success story, everything. I start with, you're incredible, amazing. P.S. Can you get the photo for the website? Because so many people are private and they won't give us public photos.
Yeah.
And so when they do, I get so excited.
Totally. Yeah. Like the client that I just sent you who's pregnant. It's my first matchmaking baby.
So sweet.
So it's just so exciting. You feel like you're like, I'm pregnant, you know, but without having to be pregnant. It's great.
And also like you help them create life. That's amazing. If you really stop to think about it.
Yeah.
That's true. Why our jobs are the best.
Yeah. So let's talk about it.
Okay. We're going to dive in. So first of all, we recognize it's a very confusing time to date. There are a lot of options. There are 5,000 dating apps. Did you know that?
No, but I recently had a client tell me that she was on 9 apps. It's the most I've ever heard at once.
I'm not surprised. So there are so many apps and they can work. Apps can work. They give you access to millions of people you wouldn't otherwise meet. But the challenge with the apps are they are incredibly time consuming. And often you're going on dates with people and you show up and you don't even align on the basics. So with the apps, you are paying with your time. Like many of them are free or they're a small amount of money, but you pay with your time. Again, it can work, but that's what's happening with the app situation.
Yeah. Time and kind of like emotional energy as well.
Yes, completely.
Yeah.
So matchmaking, you are paying with your money, but you save time. So it is a different way to meet people. I personally feel it's helpful to have a dating portfolio and to do multiple things. But with matchmaking, you are investing in yourself, you're investing in the process, and you're saving yourself a ton of time and energy. To start, I want to explain who is hiring a matchmaker. I think there are a lot of misconceptions out there. So I want to break down who is actually working with a matchmaker. Number one, they are intentional daters. Like they are really prioritizing love. They're looking for something serious and they're dating intentionally. They have a growth mindset. Usually they are ready and willing to learn about themselves and grow. They're self-aware. They are looking for something serious. If you are looking for something casual, you are not going to jump through all the hoops it takes to meet through a matchmaker. You will have a much easier time on Tinder. The people who are going to matchmakers, they're prioritizing meeting someone and they're serious about it. Like it's not for casual dating
I
for the
will
most
say
part.
they're not always necessarily ready for that serious someone, but they're ready to prioritize it and do the work to
Yes.
be ready for that
That's
certain
exactly right.
someone.
And not everyone's looking for marriage. Like they're looking to take the next steps to get into a relationship, and everyone's coming to us at different stages. Some goals are like to get married, some are to get married and have kids. Other people are fresh out of a divorce and they just want to get back out there. Some don't have a ton of dating experience and they want to become a more confident dater. So everyone's goals are different, but for the most part, they're ready to be serious about their dating life. Most importantly, they're looking for high quality matches.
Yeah.
They're looking for the best of the best. They know the amount of hours it takes to online date and they want to save themselves time and energy. And so they are turning to matchmakers to find them the highest quality matches that are really worth their time. It's the same thing as hiring a realtor. Yes, you can go on Redfin and go on 8 million house tours, but you're hiring a realtor to do all that work for you and only show you the ones that meet what you're looking for and that are worth spending your Saturday on.
Not only that, but what the realtor does is know the intricacies of how to negotiate on purchasing that home for you and
Yes.
represent you the best possible way you can be represented. And a matchmaker can do the same. It's very hard to know how to
Yes.
market yourself, especially in a dating sense. We know how to market ourselves for work, but not dating. And a matchmaker knows the qualities that make you such an exceptional partner. So not only do they find people, but they can market you, which I know sounds kind of cold, but you have to market yourself in dating.
100%. It is so much easier for us to market you than for you to market yourself. It can be challenging to market yourself online.
Yeah, for sure. And some of the best people I know just struggle to market themselves.
Such a good point. Yes, I love that. So if you are looking for a matchmaker, one thing to keep in mind is that there are 2,000 mom and pop matchmakers across the country. And these mom and pop matchmakers are great. It typically is like 1, 2, 3 people within the company. They're a smaller operation, and usually they focus on one demographic. So it's like Asian matchmaking or Catholic matchmaking or Carolinas matchmaking. Because they're a smaller team, they usually focus on 1 or 2 demographics because they can't serve everyone and they need to build their pool based on the clients that they're working with. All right, so then there are larger matchmaking companies. 3 Day Rule is one of those companies. And we're nationwide. We work with clients along the East Coast, West Coast, Chicago, and we can take on clients outside of those cities on a case-by-case basis. We service a wide range, 20 to 80 years old. We have an LGBTQ department, so we can work with most clients. But if we can't work with a client for whatever reason, we are happy to refer them to a matchmaker who can.
Do you have any like set limitations of like clients that you recognize aren't like you can't work with, or how do you identify what clients you can work with and can't work with?
So as part of the process, which I'll explain, when you sign up and you create a profile, you are assigned a new member strategist. And I'm on this team, but we have a handful of people on the team that take these calls. And our job is to see if we can deliver. So we're going to ask you to go through your backstory and what you're looking for in a partner and tell us about yourself. And then we're assessing whether or not we can deliver for you. If we feel we can have success, we'll move forward. And if we don't feel we have enough people in our database, we won't, because we don't want to take your money just to take your money. We only want to do it if we feel confident that we can deliver. Otherwise, we'll refer you to somebody else. So some of the times that we don't take people on is when they are very, very rigid in what they're looking for. Like this person needs to make X amount of dollars and be 6'5", blue eyes, you know, that song.
Yeah.
Like we may not take you on if you have very limiting criteria. But I will say for the most part, like, we can work with clients.
Yeah, the only other people that I feel like you've seen 3 Day Rule not work with is like if you're in a part of the country that we just don't feel like we have a large enough database or pool to select from.
Right, exactly. So it's case by case. If you're open to dating outside of your city, or if we do feel we have enough people in the pool, then we'll work with you. And if not, we'll send you to somebody who can. I'll just briefly explain the process, and then I'm going to give you some questions that you can ask as you're interviewing other matchmaking companies. Every matchmaker's process is different. This is specific to 3 Day Rule. So what happens is you fill out a profile, 3dayrule.com, and you have to spell out 3 Day Rule because I forgot to pay the GoDaddy subscription on the number 3-day rule, and now it's an 80s cover band. So make sure you're going to the right place. 3-day rule, spell it out. And you fill out a profile, you're assigned a new member strategist, and our job is to get to know you and what you're looking for and make sure we can deliver. If we feel confident we can and you're interested in becoming a client, you sign up, you're connected with a matchmaker, and then that matchmaker takes over, gets to know you on a personal level. You send the matchmaker photos of your exes or people you find attractive. That way we can get a sense of your type. It's easier for us to see visually. And then the matchmaker will go and find all of the people in our network that meet what you're looking for. And usually we have thousands and thousands of people that meet that criteria. And then we start interviewing them. So we get a sense of their background, their family relationship, their goals for the future, religion and politics. We cover so much. Once we have someone that's a fit, we'll present the profile to the client, and they will see pictures and a bio, and we'll tell them all about why we chose the match. And then they go on the date, and after we get feedback from both sides. So that feedback is super valuable because you learn how you're coming across on a date. And it's really important information. Like, you might think you're showing interest, but you're actually not. And so we'll be able to capture that and help you become a better dater. I think that is such an incredible part of the service, because without that, you are spinning your wheels. Like, you might be doing the same thing online dating, you have no idea. But with matchmaking, you know exactly what's happening and what the feedback is after the dates. So we capture the post-date feedback. You tell the matchmaker how you felt, and then we decide what the next step is. You strategize with the matchmaker. You make a game plan. You can pause and focus on one match. Otherwise, we're happy to send other matches so you can compare. So that's basically the matching piece. We might interview 30, 40 options before we send you one. Like, we're essentially going on your first dates for you, and then we're only sending you the best of the best, the matches that are really worth your time. So that's the matching piece. And then it also includes photos and a dating strategist, which we'll cover in a minute, but Becca is one of our dating strategists. So you work with a matchmaker as well as a coach. So that is our process, a 3-day rule, but
And
every
just
process
to add
is different.
like a little
Yes.
clarity between when the client signs to do the matchmaking process and when the matchmaking actually starts. They do their photo, and they oftentimes meet with a dating strategist, not always at that time, but they will do photos before. And I love the photo piece of it because it does make a huge difference to have high quality current photos of you and photos where you are kind of putting your best foot forward. Like, they still should look like a reflection of you in your day-to-day life, but it's just more high quality. So that's when the photos and all of that takes place. It's like before you even get
Yes.
matching, you're starting in this process. And sometimes the clients tell me, like, it's been fun just getting the ball rolling, because obviously, like, photos aren't the most comfortable for people to take. So stretching out of your comfort zone in that way kind of gets you in the right headspace, and you're engaging in dating in the steps that you need to take before you actually go on the date.
Completely. That's exactly right. We have a style guide. Like, we help you pick out the outfits that will look good on camera. You have a partner through this whole process. And so that's exactly right. We pick a start date, and then from the time you sign until your start date, you're prepping. I really encourage people to do at least one of their strategy sessions before they go on their first date, but they can schedule whenever it's convenient for them.
On the date coaching thing, yeah, I typically like to see clients from 3-day rule before they start their matching process, unless this is the first time they're getting into dating and they feel confident and just are wanting to explore. Then I say, like, go with your natural instincts and let's, like, report back on how that feels and works for you, because I want everyone to start with whatever feels natural. Or if their mindset is, this is simply a sourcing issue and I'm not ready to, or don't feel like I have anything interpersonally to work on, then it's like, go on a couple dates, let's get the feedback and see if there's anything tangible to work on. Other than those two scenarios, I always encourage clients to meet with me before they go on a first date.
Yes. The coaching is so important to the process, which
Yeah.
again, we'll get into. But so overall, the process with the matchmaking, at least a 3-day rule, is you work with a matchmaker, you work with a coach, and we take photos of you. And on the photos, I did a good job today. I've really had to train myself, because I usually say, we're going to take new photos of you. And then so often people go, you're taking nude photos of me? It's
like,
quite
you didn't know that's
confusing.
this kind of matchmaking service? We want to show it all.
I know. I had an 80-year-old man one time. He was so
Oh
sweet.
my
I said,
God.
and then we're going to take new photos of you. Nude photos? Like, no, new current photos.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So I've trained myself, and I was proud that I didn't
We're
say
an
new.
anti-nude organization.
So obviously I'm biased. I started 3-Day Rule Matchmaking. I think we are the best matchmaking company there is.
What do you think sets you apart from the rest?
Well, everything. No, I think there are so many amazing matchmakers out there. I think it comes down to personal preference and chemistry. And so while I would love to work with everyone, and again, I am biased, I think we're absolutely amazing. There are so many great matchmakers out there. So if you are interviewing other matchmakers, I will give you a list of questions to ask just so you can do your due diligence and make sure that you're matching with the right matchmaker.
Yeah. I think also I will market this for you because I know you won't do it for yourself. You are exceptional at matching people with a matchmaker. You know, almost before a matchmaker starts at 3-Day Rule, what her great demographic would be that she's really strong in working with. And it's so funny because throughout time in my matchmaking experience with you, I started to be like, oh, I see who I'm becoming in the company. Like, it's becoming very clear the clients that you want me to work with. And I think every matchmaker has their strength, and you sometimes can see it before the matchmakers do. So that is a very important part, because if you don't feel, it's like having a therapist. If you don't feel connected to that matchmaker, the experience isn't going to feel as fulfilling. And I think that's one of 3-Day Rule's greatest strengths, is that there is such a large variety of matchmakers from different backgrounds. So it's very rare that you're going to find a client who doesn't have some connection with a matchmaker on the team.
Yes, it's such a good point. And our job as the new member strategist, we are the matchmaker for the matchmakers. So when a client comes to us, we do the intake, they sign up as a client. Our job is to pick the right matchmaker for them. And usually we nail it.
Yeah.
However, if for some reason we don't, the client is welcome to call us and we will switch matchmakers, because that pairing is really important. But we have 50 full-time matchmakers across the country. So we are able to pick the right matchmaker for you, for what you're looking for your vibe, for your network. So we do have a lot of options there.
Yeah.
Thank you for marketing me.
Always.
Okay, so as you're interviewing matchmakers, here are a handful of questions that are important to ask. Number 1, how much do your services cost? Matchmaking is an investment, a worthwhile one. It is worth every penny, but the range varies. So we start transparently at $5,900. That's our smallest package, and we'll go up to $50,000 for some VIP packages. I would say the majority of the mom and pop matchmakers start at about $15,000. They're like $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. That's, I would say, the most popular price range that I've noticed. But there are some matchmaking companies that go up to $300,000, $500,000. So know your budget, and as you're interviewing matchmaking companies, ask that early so you don't waste time if it's not a match.
Yeah. Again, it's like shopping for a house. You don't want to go look at $3 million homes on a $1 million budget. You're going to feel heartbroken.
Yes. Then find out who is their typical client. So as I mentioned before, a lot of the mom and pop matchmakers work with a handful of demos. Maybe they only work with men. Actually, that's a popular one. A lot of matchmaking companies only work with men. Or maybe they only work with Salt Lake City. You need to know who their demo is to make sure that they're going to have enough matches for you.
This is like where you get into the Netflix shows, like Indian matchmaking, Jewish matchmaking,
Yes.
$1 million matchmaking. You get into the different subcategories of matchmaking specialties.
Yes, exactly. And then find out how many people they have in their network. We have hundreds of thousands of people. So usually we have plenty of options. And then what happens is a lot of people seem amazing on paper. And then as you start to go through the interview process, you realize they're not a fit for some reason. If you don't have a large enough network, you're going to get matched with people who are just in their network. So make sure the matchmaker at least has hundreds of people in their network, or
is an exceptional recruiter.
Exactly.
Like
or
how
like
they
you're
recruit.
comfortable that they're going to be recruiting outside of their network. Yes. And the matchmaking community is amazing. Like, they share with each other. You know, if one is working with a client, they might pair you with another matchmaker's client. So they do have their network. But I would make sure that they have at least hundreds of people that they can pull from as potential matches for you. Okay, the next one is a personal preference. Find out if they show pictures or if they match blindly.
And if they show pictures, are they nude or do they have clothing?
Exactly.
Is there a nudist matchmaker that you know of?
No.
That would be wild.
That would be wild. For an extra
There's a market there.
$50K.
Yeah.
You can. So on the blind matching, we show pictures. We believe both parties should be excited to meet each other and know ahead of time who they're going on a date with. But there are many matchmaking companies that match you blindly. You go on blind dates. So that's a personal preference. You might prefer to do blind matching, or you might prefer to see pictures of the person you're going on the date with. Just make sure you have that information ahead of time so you're not surprised.
I will say also with that, there are some matchmaking companies who set up the date for you and some matchmaking companies that simply connect you and it is on you to set up the date. So if you are someone who really wants someone to set the date up for you, it's important to ask that as well.
Yes. At our company at 3 Day Rule, we try to make the process feel organic, like a friend is setting you up. So we don't plan the dates. We give one part in a heterosexual relationship. We're giving the number to the man. He is calling and setting up the date. LGBTQ, Kara has her way of doing it. I think sometimes she'll say, like, she'll give the number to both people and say, let's see who does it first. Like, she'll make a game out of it. It's cute. But we really try to make this feel organic, so we do not set the dates up for you. Couple more questions. One is what's included. So I already covered what's included with ours. It's matchmaking, date coaching, photography, and you can add on styling. But find out if you're interviewing other matchmaking companies, what's included. It might just be matchmaking. Maybe they have coaching. Find out if it's 3 months, 6 months, year-long packages. Just make sure you have all the information about what's included. And finally, talk about success. Success means something different to everyone. So instead of just asking, what is your success rate? That's almost irrelevant because people are coming at different stages. And so success means something different to everyone. So for you, success might mean marriage. And for someone else, it might be gaining confidence. So just have the open conversation about what success means for you and make sure you're on the same page and that your goals are aligned. Like through 3 Day Rule, we incentivize the matchmakers big time to give the clients the best possible experience so that the goals are aligned and everyone's on the same page. If you are interviewing matchmakers and you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I am happy to guide you in the right direction. Again, I'd love to speak with you. We would love to talk to you. And if we don't feel like it's the right fit or you don't feel it's the right fit, we can refer you to another matchmaker.
Yeah. Again, the matchmaking community is so great. Everyone loves love and everyone is pretty collaborative for the most part. So everyone's happy to just steer people in the right direction.
Exactly. All we want is for you to end up in a happy, healthy relationship. So whether that's through us or on your own, like we want to spread the love.
Yeah.
So reach out. Last thing, we recognize that matchmaking is expensive. It is an investment. Again, I feel it's a worthwhile one, but it's not in everyone's budget, and that's okay. If you are interested in matchmaking, but it's not in your budget at the moment, sign up for the free database. Almost every matchmaking company has one, and that way you can be eligible to be matched with their clients. So our database is free. Anyone can go to 3dayrule.com, sign up in our network, and be eligible to be matched with clients. Some matchmaking companies charge like $99 or a few $100s for a consultation, but you, at least for the free ones, have nothing to lose by just joining the free networks. And then if at some point you are able to afford or you're interested in doing the premium matchmaking, you can always change. They are two very different approaches. So sometimes people will say, oh, I'm just going to try the free pool and get a sense, and then I'll do the matchmaking. They're two completely different options. One is very passive and one's proactive. So you can't really judge the experience based on the free network. It's just two completely different experiences, but it's not a bad place to start if you're not ready for premium matchmaking. Every Monday, we do a call with the whole team and we talk about people we've met and if they can be a match for one of our clients. So we value our pool members, is what we call them. We value our network tremendously. So definitely, at the very least, sign up for that.
Yeah, 100%.
One of the most important pieces of the matchmaking experience, at least for us, is date coaching. Like, they go hand in hand. The date coaching helps with the matching. So one of our date coaches is Becca. If you are lucky, you might get to work with her. If not, we have other coaches on our team. And often I'm talking with our clients and I'll explain that it comes with dating strategy sessions and they have no idea what it means. So Becca, take it away. Please explain to the people why everybody needs date coaching.
Yeah, I love date coaching. I date coach for 3-Day Rule, as we all know, and I have a private practice as well that I date coach individuals in. And one of the most common questions I get from clients who are coming to me through matchmaking is, what is this? What am I supposed to do? And I love that because I'm like, come into my wings. Like, there's no expectations. I can do what I want. But what I will say is date coaching is relatively new, and it is something that is going to be a little bit different based on the date coach that you're going to. So I found there's a spectrum. On the one end of the spectrum, there are people who are very skilled at teaching tips and tricks for how to date effectively. On the other side of the spectrum, there's people who specialize in more of the interpersonal part of date coaching, attachment styles, or how to connect with people, any past patterns that you might want to be breaking. I land somewhere in the middle of those two. So because of my history and experience as a former trauma therapist and then matchmaker, I kind of sandwich the two so that I can land in the middle. I try to explore anything from how you're feeling about dating, past patterns in relationships, and what opportunities for dating you have in your day-to-day life, and find the threads of where we can make small improvements, again, that are realistic to where you are. Mm-hmm. So my goal is always to meet a client where they're at, never push outside of their comfort zone, but also at the same time, make some forward momentum in their dating life that has otherwise, most of the time, felt pretty stagnant. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times a first session for me will look like me asking very random questions for the first 30 to 40 minutes, and then starting to spew out some threads that I'm noticing, some things that I really think we could work on, and I always like to leave clients with tips and tricks of things I want them to try and practice, and then report back of what worked, what didn't work, what felt too hard, what felt manageable, and then go from there. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's a very personalized experience based on where my client is, what their particular topic is, and what their goals are. So I thought I could go through some of the most asked questions that I receive about date coaching and just answer them here. Okay, so first question I get from clients, especially in the beginning, is how long do you typically work with a client and how often do you have to have sessions? For me, it is not like traditional therapy or coaching where I recommend weekly sessions. Sometimes that makes sense in the earlier days while we're first exploring what you want to work on and how to move through it. But sometimes it makes more sense to have gaps in between our sessions so you can go out, experience, practice things, and then come and report back. So again, that's something that I will discuss with my client in a first session and collaborate on what makes most sense financially, but also in terms of goal setting, because it doesn't always make sense to do sessions weekly or even biweekly. And I have worked with clients from their beginning stages of dating to the dating apps all the way to engagement. I have a client who's on the cusp of getting engaged. She just got her ring fitted and did all the fun shopping things. She's got her manicure and we're just waiting any day now. So for me, it doesn't stop once you start actually dating someone. I actually love the first few months of a relationship because that's where you can really make life-changing habits and set yourself up for success in a relationship. So I also work with couples. My caveat with couples is sometimes it can flirt a little bit too much in the line of therapy, and I am very boundaried with what is coaching and what is therapy with my couples. So there have been a few times where I've hit a point with my couples and I will say to them, at this point, it feels to me you need therapy. Our coaching will take a pause and I'm going to refer you out because I think that you need to do more process-oriented work instead of conversational skills and things that are more task oriented.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. So there's really no time limit. And sometimes my clients will pop in once every 6 months. Once they're going on their path and they feel like they have made some improvements and have some progress, they take longer in between sessions. And I love that. That means that they're usually thriving, or, you know, that they're happy in a relationship. And then they just want to do some touch points of like, hey, we're moving in together. Can you help us navigate this?
Yes. I feel like there have been so many times where we've saved relationships, like so many times through helping people navigate the relationship from start to finish. Like I've had several clients that I feel we've saved at the very end, picking out rings, discussing prenups. You know, like there are certain times in a relationship where you need the support. And so fortunately, our clients feel close enough that they can come back to us and continue working with a date coach to help them navigate those times.
Yeah, it's so crucial because, you know, those are the big moments in the relationship where if you don't feel like it's resolved, it tends to come back and haunt you, even if you guys can move forward in the moment. And so I love to just really work through it, face it head on, and build that foundation for the best future possible. So, and the more that you can address it in the moment, then the smaller it can stay. It doesn't have to become a bigger theme or topic in the relationship. So it's almost like this, you're getting like very familiar with the dynamic of the relationship before it gets too serious, so that when it does get serious, you already have a sense of what's going on.
Yes, so true. And you get to know your clients so well that it's like these little touch. I feel like you can save a text message before it gets out. Like you know exactly what needs to happen.
100%. And I feel one of the things I love about working with clients longer term is I will start to feel like, I feel like you're sliding back into a little bit of that anxious attachment space. Like this doesn't feel like the most grounded version of you. Like I can kind of see and understand what's happening for them internally because I've gotten to know them so well. And so we can have that conversation and game plan based on that. So I'm sometimes able to just call out what I notice, and that in and of itself is extremely effective.
Yes, so helpful.
So on that note, another question I get from clients is, what if I already have a therapist? And my response is, amazing. That's my preference.
Bonus.
Yeah. I prefer my clients to be in therapy because what I do is very different. So in therapy, you will ideally be reflecting on your internal experiences and some of your past triggers and how you cope with life and relationships. And in date coaching, you will take all of that knowledge and you will put it into action. So we will take what you learn from your experiences in therapy and we will apply it to what's relevant for the current dating culture. I can speak from personal experience. When I was a therapist, I was not very well versed in what the dating scene was offering. It wasn't something that you're taught. Like you are taught relationship stuff, but if a client were to come to me and say, I'm struggling to date, I would explore that interpersonally within them, but I would be stuck probably in knowing what it actually feels like to experience dating. So I feel like that's where my strength comes in, is I can blend the two. Great, you have this insight. How do we put this insight into action? What does this look like on a date? And how can you date differently because you know this about yourself? So I love working with clients who have been in therapy because it's like, great, let's get going. Let's get moving.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't think about it in that way, but we get a ton of referrals for matchmaking from therapists.
Yeah. Totally. It's the best. It's a dream team. Okay. The other question I get is, do you need to be looking for something serious? And this is similar to matchmaking, where I say you date for lots of reasons. You don't just date to meet your forever person. You date to gain confidence. You date to get back out there. You date to understand what dating is going to be like for you. So I sometimes will even help my clients reassess why they're dating. Sometimes a client comes to me and says, this happened to me recently, I want to date for my long-term partner. I'm ready to meet my person. A few dates in, they say, actually, I think I want to prioritize fun over long-term partnership right now. So how can I date just to make it fun? Because I need to have fun first. And so we reorganize the dating strategy. We reorganize the way that she's approaching dating. So you really don't have to be looking for the one to use a date coach. It's really just having someone to assess first what you're looking for and then guide you in the right direction of how to get there.
And there's so many different topics you can talk about with a date coach. It can be attachment style, but it can also be like flirting techniques.
Yeah. Or redoing your dating app profile. There's so many times I just do profile reviews, and I will sometimes share a screen with my clients and have them swipe through and see how they're using the dating apps and refine that process for them. So there's so many ways that we can work together, and that's how I make it a pretty individual process. It just is really dependent on each person and where they're at.
So helpful. I know firsthand that you have helped countless clients.
Oh, thank you.
It is such an important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I love it. It's so much fun. The last question that I usually get is, how do you measure success? And again, this goes back to making it an individual process. So for me, I will always ask my clients, how would you like to feel at the end of working with me? What would you like to be different in your dating life? And I will write those goals down, and I will remember those things. They sometimes shift over time. In fact, quite often they do. But I'm always checking in with the client about how they're feeling. And for me, what I'm always tracking is, does it feel like you have forward moving momentum? Even if you're taking a break from dating, that break could be propelling you forward because you're regaining energy.
Yes.
So it's not like, okay, my clients are now going on 10 dates a week and I'm getting them all the hot people and they're thriving and that's not what it's about. Everyone's dating journey is different. And I want to make it really intentional based off of the bandwidth you have, the energy you have, the resiliency that you feel like you have at any given moment. There's times where we have access to so much resiliency. So put yourself out there. And there's times where we don't. And you need to start going back and reflecting on you. So again, for me, it's all about that person in that moment and what makes sense, and then giving steps in how to get to where they want to get to next so that it always feels like there's forward movement.
Yes. Yeah, you're so great at identifying what the roadblocks are.
It's like a beautiful mind. It's like I tell my husband all the time, I know this is what I'm meant to do, because the way I see it, especially in the first session, is I start like having these floating puzzle pieces, and there's always one question that it just all clicks for me. And I'm like, okay, I see. I'm like in focus now. And I'll tell my clients, like, I'm going to ask you such weird questions right now. My brain will go everywhere, but then I find my path and it feels like I can just start running.
Yes.
It's such a nice feeling.
So great. I love sending my clients to you. I feel like there's like this one type of client that I know they need help. Like they really need to go to you. It's the ones that get in their own way. Like they say they want a relationship, and they really want a relationship, and they want to sign up for matchmaking, but then there's some block holding them back. I feel like it becomes, oh, I'm going to do it over the summer. Oh, I'm going to do it next year. Oh, I want to lose 10 pounds. And there's just always something that gets in their way, even though you know you want it and you know you can help them.
Yeah.
So those types of clients, especially, I love going to you, because then you can really help them get out of their own way.
Yeah. Yeah, because with those clients, I'll honor their coping skill, which is to retreat. And sometimes I'll say, all right, let's retreat. Let's do what you need to do. That's fine. But how can we do this more responsibly and in a more contained way where it doesn't become self-sabotage?
Yes.
You're allowed to have space. You're allowed to have all the space in the world. But can you say that and put some containment on it so that someone's willing to stick around? That's much better, you know? So I love working with my clients who are fearful when they first come in that I'm going to make them do things that feel like unnatural. It's probably my ego at that point, because my ego is like, okay, like this is going to be more fun than you think it is. You know, you're going to like me. I'm going to force you to like me.
Everybody needs a Becca in their life. I always say that, but it's so true.
Well, and hence the podcast. Now everyone has access to a Becca in their life, but it is different coming to me personally, because then I can see you for the individual that you are and work with you in that way.
It's so nuanced, even with, both date coaching and matchmaking.
Yeah.
Everyone's unique. Everyone has a unique background, relationship experience. It is so nuanced.
Yeah. Just do it.
Seriously.
I think a lot of people are like, I don't know what it is, so I'm not going to do it. But do it, especially if you can't quite afford matchmaking yet. Date coaching is a nice
amazing
in-between.
start. Absolutely. All right. I think we covered everything. So thank you, everyone, for joining today's episode of You Seem Great. We hope you got helpful tips and tricks on matchmaking and date coaching. If you have any outstanding questions, feel free to reach out. We are so happy to help you. We want everyone to find love. You can find us at You Seem Great Podcast on social media. Until next time, thanks, everyone.
Thank you for joining today's episode of You Seem Great. You can find specifics of the episode in our show notes.
Want more? Follow us at You Seem Great Podcast on social media. Dating is hard. We're here to help.